Hello, you wonderful people. So for today's video, I decided to talk about more of my nerdy quirks, which are interesting, and by interesting, I just mean that they're stupid. At least for me, I feel like they're stupid. One of my biggest nerdy quirks is I don't like character creators. Now, like, I'm not trying to hate on anyone else that does. It's just I have this weird thing where it's like I prefer a character that is just created for me. Like, oh, this is the main protagonist. I don't want to be like, oh yeah, like create this character to make him look like you, and this is like, oh, this is your hero, this is your OC. It's like, I don't like that. I like, you know, it's like, no, you created this game, give me a specific character to control. Like, that's why I've never actually played that many. Like, the only games I've ever played like that are Dragon Age, as well, you know, Dark Souls, and even then I've only played the first one of both, as well as Saints Row, which I've only played 2 and 4. I know, that's just how things happened. In the Saints Row case, I don't mind as much, because I'm like, huh, but even then, I don't fiddle with it too much. I'm like, more often than not, legitimately, I just kind of go with the default. It's like, oh, this is what the character, sure, why not? I might change some clothes here and there, but then I'm like, nope, this is the canonical outfit. I know it sounds crazy and stupid, but that's just how I am sometimes. I mean, to be fair, like, aside from those games, I don't really play that many, like, games that have character creators. Like, don't get me wrong, there are amazing character creators out there. Like, obviously, the best example is, like, Black Desert, which I always find it funny because even people always get surprised when they see gameplay of it. Even I was surprised because, like, oh wow, because all I've heard is nothing but the character creator, so I'd never seen actual gameplay of it before. But nevertheless, that's a whole conversation in itself. I don't know why I think like that. Like I said, it's just one of those things where it's like, you created this world, I want your vision of what the main protagonist is supposed to be, and just like, and I'm cool with that. Like I said, this is just me. I'm sure there are plenty of people who like character creators. I will always prefer a story created character over a character that I design. And I'm not saying that every game should change and bend to my will. Like, no. Like, if you're like a Saints Row or a Dark Souls or whatever, like, you keep that. Obviously, like, I'm in the super minority in that, I'm sure, but it's just where I'm at. Because for me, it actually even goes a step further than that. Like, there are certain games where you can change your character's outfit or certain accessories. Like, let me give you an example. Like, obviously, Final Fantasy 15, it's like, oh man, look at these, like, oh, you can change your costumes and each one has, like, you know, different abilities and stuff like that. It's like, oh yeah, that's awesome. Oh man, look at Ignis. Oh, look at Gladio. Look at Bronze. Look at not. No. Wear the default outfits, which are the Royal Crowns Guard outfits. Wear those. It's like, no, it bothers me. I'm like, no, I can never have them wear anything else because it's like, that's their canonical look. They have to stay that way. Like I said, I am just kind of a little crazy about that. The same thing kind of applies to like a game I recently found out about, Tokyo Xanadu. It's like, oh man, you can change your outfits, you can add little accessories. That same thing applies to Tales games as well. The only one I know for sure that's like that is Vesperia. I don't know if any other Tales game is like that. There probably are, but it's just one of those things where I'm like, don't do that. It's like, oh, that looks cute, that accessory and everything, get rid of it. It's just, I can't help it. Even take something like, you know, fighting games. It's like, oh man, you can change their characters, like the colors for their outfits, or you know, their character design, like, you know, the different colors in the fighting games. It's like, oh, you can choose them, probably put them in different outfits. Oh, that's so cool. No, I had to play them in their default, like their default designs. Like, even if someone's like, oh, that's hideous, it's like, no, that's canonically what they look like, so they have to stay that way. Because I know there's something that some people prefer in a video game where it's like, oh, when you change your character's weapon or their armor, it actually changes on said character. Like, it happens a lot in, you know, RPGs and JRPGs and such. Like, a great example would be something like the Xenoblade series. Like, obviously, Xenoblade Chronicles 1 and Xenoblade Chronicles X. If whatever weapons you equip to your character, obviously, like, that weapon is reflected, you know, that shows them fighting with it, as well as even in cutscenes. Even their armor and accessories and stuff like that will appear in cutscenes and stuff like that, which is like, oh man, that's cool, but there's still part of me that's like, I don't like that. I think they made a change in, there was a thing in Xenoblade Chronicles X, if I remember correctly, where it's like, you could actually make it so that it doesn't appear. So, which is kind of like, okay, that would kind of fit for me, but it's something they completely removed from Xenoblade Chronicles 2, because it's like, no, that's not a thing, like, because armor's not a thing really in that game, so it's not really like an element to it. But that was something in the previous 2 games that, like, oh, you change your outfit, you change your armor, it would reflect on your character. And like I said, people like that. Me personally, I don't. That's why, like, games like, I think Grandia 2 and 3, which it might be pronounced Grandia, but like my entire life I always called them Grandia, so nevertheless, that's always not a thing in those games, because it's like, even if you change your character's weapon, like, oh, it never changes like in game or even in battle. It's just like you keep that default looking weapon, which would bother the hell out of a lot of people. To be fair, those are like PS2 games, so something like that probably isn't as prevalent in more modern games, but still, that's something I've always preferred, because it's like, oh yeah, because that makes me feel like, no, even if I switch weapons, they still have their default weapon. Like, if I could, like an example, using Kingdom Hearts for example, if I could, I would equip any other Keyblade and make it look like Sora still has the Kingdom Key, just because I'm weird like that. That's why, like, I kind of like the way Chain of Memories, well, I don't know if Chain of Memories handled it like this, specifically RE Chain of Memories made it. So obviously, even with the card situation, Sora always used the Kingdom Key, and obviously, like, you know, the cards came in the different forms of the Keyblade he had back in Kingdom Hearts 1. Like, so that's something I can handle, because he's still using the default Kingdom Key. Even with all this happening, there are exceptions to this rule on many different occasions. You have like your Final Fantasy X-2s. Like, it doesn't bother me as much with Final Fantasy X-2 because it's part of the story, like them changing their outfits. Obviously, it goes along with your abilities and stuff like that. But now that I'm older, part of me probably would try and go through the game just using each default, like, dress spear for all of them. Like, you know, will stay a gunner, Riku a thief, and Pain, was it Swordmaster? Is that what that outfit's called? It's been so long since like, I think at that time I was young enough when Final Fantasy X-2 came out that it didn't bother me as much, but now that I'm older, like, it would bother me. But like I said, it's part of the story and it's part of the combat in the game, so I probably wouldn't stress about it too much. Another example would be Kingdom Hearts. Like, obviously, Sora, Donald, and Goofy's attire changes depending on what world they've gone through. They go to certain Disney worlds, do that to them. And obviously, like, it never bothered me then, it doesn't bother me now. And there's even like a thing in Kingdom Hearts 2, obviously, like the dry forms, which even those I don't mind them either, because they're not like a permanent change. They're like a temp, like once his gauge runs out, he goes back to his default clothes anyway. But even permanent changes I'm okay with too, because you have stuff like Dot Hack GU. Haseo's character constantly changes throughout the games just because of story events happening and there's things happening, and it's like, oh yeah, his character changed. I don't mind that as much. Obviously, there's probably, like, you know, there are his character's design that I prefer, but obviously I don't mind that as much because that is story progression. Another example is Infinite No Discovery. The main protagonist, Capel, has a different outfit during the second half of the game, which I'm super okay with because I prefer his outfit during the second half of the game way more than I do the first one. Like I said, I know I'm a little weird about that. I never, like, chastise someone from it. It's like, oh my god, you changed this character's outfit to this, blah, 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 blah. I never say anything about it. Granted, I will be thinking it very heavily, but I never say anything about it because it's like, oh, you play your way. Obviously, that's kind of the whole thing, but it's just like, that's my little weird thing that I kind of want to share with you guys. My question to you guys is, do you have a thing like that as well? Are you a fan of character creators? Do you like, or are you kind of like me where it's like, no, give me the character that you would design for this game, as well as don't allow me to change anything about the character's, like, design or anything. Like I said, there's pros and cons to being able to change a character's design, whether it's like the clothes they wear and stuff like that, because it's like, oh yeah, like, this outfit doesn't look good, but this outfit kind of accentuates the character's model or whatever better. You know, just let me know all your thoughts in the comments down below about my little weird quirk and whether or not you share it or not. But really, that's all I want to talk about in this video. Till the next time we meet, be happy, be safe, live life to the fullest, and enjoy it. Good day and goodbye.